morning, friends. How are you? It's great to see you. Hi, Ruth from very cold Maine, and Michelle and Melissa and Jill. Hi, Jill from cold and getting cold in New Jersey, and Lucy. Yeah, it's freezing here. Absolutely freezing in Massachusetts. But it's great to see you all here this morning. One of the top questions that I get from folks is how do I fill all the handmade books that we create? So this month I'm going to be showing you various image transfer techniques to use in your handmade books. I am thrilled to have with me this morning Amber Weaver. She is helping behind the scenes, gathering any questions you have, and just keeping me on track generally. So thank you, Amber, for being here. You can't see her, but she is here. I can see her. So let's dive straight in. If you are joining us live, welcome. I will happily answer your questions at the end. If you can pop them in the chat, we will save them and answer any questions at the end. And if you are watching the replay, thank you. You can put any questions in the comments. What is image transfer, you may be asking? Well, image transfer is the process of taking an image that has toner or ink, lifting that toner or ink, and then applying it to another surface. Sounds complicated, but it doesn't have to be. I'm going to show you a very simple technique today, probably the most simple and the most foolproof technique, which is one using contact paper, or you can also use packing tape. But I'm going to show you contact paper because that's my preferred method. But there are many, many different types of image transfer. You can do ones with gel medium, matte medium, acetone, tons and tons of different ones. And you can apply, when it says apply the image to a different surface, we're not just talking paper. We are talking all sorts of things like glass, like metal, like cardboard. Let me just look at my list. Fabric is one of my absolute favorite ones to do. So there are many different surfaces that you can take these images and apply them to the surface. And one of the qualities of image transfer is it tends to be a little kind of grungy looking, which is what I like. I mean, you can get methods which are very perfect, but who wants perfect anyway? And you will find it used by many, many mixed media artists. They use it, large mixed media pieces on canvas, within art journals, within altered books, particularly within collage. So I'm going to show you in a minute some examples of how I use image transfer in my work. And I'm sure that you will have many ideas too. So I'm going to switch my camera down so that it's facing my table. I'm going to give you some examples of how I have used image transfer in my books. And then I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it with the contact paper, and then give you some tips on ways to increase your chances for success. So let us add in my table. Make sure that, hold on. That's what I want. Excellent. All right, let me just get myself organized. Let me shift over so I'm at my desk. So adding images to our work is a great way to put content inside our handmade books. So those images can be your own photographs, which you have printed, or they can be images that you find in magazines. Obviously, if it's for your personal work, you don't need to worry about copyright, but if you intending to sell your work, please just be mindful of copyright and using other people's work. Although there is one school of thought which says that, if you alter an image enough, you don't need to worry about it, but let's not get into all the legal stuff for now. So if you want to just use your own personal images in a book, here are just plain photographs from a trip I made to Kew Gardens. So these are just photos. They are sewn, glued, whatever, inside the book. And they have so they're glossy photos straight from, wherever you get your photos printed, either online or at your local chemist. These are just shiny, regular photos. And this is a great way to incorporate images into your books, just straight from a photograph. However, if you want a more grungy and a more layered look, you can use image transfers. Now, I need to be careful. I'm sorry about the light here. You might get some shine. I think see the shine right there. But here's an example of a botanical image that I took a photograph. Sorry, I've got to flip it. That I took a photograph of and then did an image transfer on contact paper. And you can see this grungy look around the edges, but you can also see underneath it. And that's one of the benefits of doing many of these image transfer techniques, is that you get a transparent background. And you see that? Hopefully you can see where the text and vintage paper underneath is coming through. So contrast that with this sort of bright, shiny image of a flower, which is great, but it's very clear and makes a very different statement to this kind of grungy image here. So this is an altar book of mine. I use the images as focal point. So I would say on this page, this seed pod is a focal point on the page. I would say that isn't a focal point. This is an old chair, but it really is just kind of texture in the background. And the word is my focal point. And on this page too, you can see, see how shiny it is. You can see these poppies. They really just form part of the background, and then comparison is the sort of main focal point. Let's just flip through. There isn't one on every page. Here is another one. This is of a vase from a magazine. You can see the kind of blue around the edge is a little bit grungy. And you see the text peeking through the white. And then here is something that I really like to do. These blue circles are an image transfer. That's actually from, I think it's from a pillow. So I really like to go through like magazines like, well, catalogs like Anthropology and Pottery Barn, and take image and lift images of like duvets or vases or rugs. So this is, I believe that was a duvet from Anthropology, although it's a while ago. So you get the idea. And if you find these too shiny, let me give you a quick tip already. You can go over them with some fine grit sandpaper and take off some of that shine if you want to. Personally, I quite like the shine because it gives a lovely contrast to the sort of matte vintage papers, but that's entirely your choice. I think there's a couple more in here. And another nice thing about image transfer with contact paper is that you can do words and you don't need to reverse the text. So this here is taken straight from a magazine. In a moment, I'm going to tell you different sort of initial surfaces that you can lift images and words from, but this was taken from a magazine and I didn't need to reverse the text. I could just take it straight off the page, which is a really nice part of, really nice, can't think of the word, part of this technique. And you can see another one here. It says giving voice to, and it's just very delicate. And right here is another one. I think that was a pair of curtains. Sorry about the shine. It just gives a lovely layered background. Those were all mostly from magazines, but I do have this altered book here where I put images from, now this is going to be very shiny. These are photographs that I take locally in my local woods, and hopefully you can see here, oh, sorry about the shine, they are layered up on vintage paper. Let's bring it up to the top. Sorry about that shine. I just really like that shine. This one here too. You can see there's kind of a close-up, and some more here, sort of ATC sized ones. But these are my own images from my camera. What I do is I put down a black mat like this. I put down a piece of text, and then I layer over the top my image transfer like that, and it gives just gives some more depth to the image and makes it more interesting. If you don't want such a busy text, you could go with something like could go with the scrapbook paper, patterned paper. You could go with, I don't know, this ledger paper, which is a little more subtle. Or you could, yeah, I mean, you could go with anything patterned underneath. I just happen to like vintage paper. Another way I like to use them is also as book covers. So this one right here. This is another example of, I think this was a pillow, which is kind of weird. So this is a little pamphlet stitch journal, like 3 or 4 pages. Got some writing in there. And then on the cover, I just glued this image transfer. There's a little key as well. So lots and lots of different ways that you can use this. Here's an example of a tag. Again, this was, I believe, some cushions or a duvet, this kind of blue and red pattern. And who would know that that's what it started out as? That's probably an anthropology catalogue as well. So there you go. There's some examples of ways that you can use it, but I would love to know in the comments or the chat how you have used them in the past or how you can think that you might use them. Today, I'm going to be working inside this little mixed media journal to add some of my image transfers. I'll give you a closer look later, but this is where I started. There's a image transfer here which says the story begins. There's one on the front here of a little bird. And then there are some inside done on fabric. And if you're interested in fabric transfers, I've linked to a video below that I did several months ago. So here's one done on fabric with matte medium. And that is linked in the description below. So there's the same image done on fabric. You can see that. And then the same image, oh, well, it's very similar, done on the front with the contact paper. All right, I've done enough talking. Let's dive into the different things that you can use. So I have not had luck. Let's talk about what you can't do. I have not had luck with my own printer at home, which is a laser printer. It doesn't work with inkjet. I haven't found it works with inkjet, and I have a laser printer and I can't get my own laser printer at home to work. So whether that's just because it's cheap and it's not going to work, I have the best luck with taking my photographs, which I get printed at the local pharmacy, taking them to a copy shop like Kinko's, Staples, and running them through the color laser printer. So here's some images that I had from a trip in the summer. And then you'll see one of those later. And here's some more of those ones that you saw earlier in the woods. Now, these ones I've had in these ones here from the autumn, these are about 5 years old and they're still working. So there's no time limit on these. I thought that they wouldn't work because they were too old, but they are still working for image transfer. And when you're looking for images, you want to look for some white space. So this one, for example, is not that great because there isn't much white space for transparency. You're going to get some transparency in the red and the green, but if you really want something to show from underneath, like paper or another image, you're going to want white areas like this. So you see this pine bough or whatever tree it is. These white snowy areas are going to be good because they're going to pretty much be clear, and then you'll get lots of you'll be able to see underneath. This is another good example because of the sky. This one here is great. So I would get lots of image showing underneath where the snow is and then between the trees. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing images, both your own and then from magazines. And then the second option is magazines. Now, if you have, let me show you a magazine that won't work. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. One magazine that, the types of magazine that won't work are the ones that are not glossy. So, you know, ones like Bella Grace, some of the more expensive ones have got matte pages. There's no glossiness to them. Those won't work. You won't be able to lift the ink off here. You need some gloss. And so that is the majority of magazines. Some of my favorites are Country Living, both US and UK. They have some great images, lots of florals, lots of animals, lots of interiors with like cute patterns like on the cushions and things. And look at this. That's a really cool background pattern. Just that stack of wood right there. And with all the kind of pale wood, that would look really good as an image transfer. So blossoms, flowers. So I love Country Living. I also really like Somerset Studio. The shiny pages are really good. And a lot of the words, I get a lot of words from Somerset Studio. So like magic, spotlight. What else? And some of this kind of scripty writing looks really good. And then another one, if you're in the US, I don't know if they have this in the UK, is Victoria magazine. Tons and tons of florals in here. Tons. I've used, well, you can tell, I've used this a lot. There's a lot of florals in here. They often got nice white backgrounds. So, and then here's an example of one that I've set aside to use. Oops, sorry, it's a bit shiny. Do you see this stone wall? That will make a great background texture for a page. Lucy says, does it ruin the magazine after you take off the transfer? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's a one-shot deal. You can't keep doing it. Obviously, if you print the same photograph twice, you can keep doing that. But no, it's ruined when you're done, I'm afraid. All right, why don't we get down to it? You'll need a bowl of water, and which I have right here. I have some soaking. You'll need lots of paper towels. Grab a big, long bunch of paper towels. And a bone folder or a credit card is useful. And let's talk about the contact paper. So contact paper comes in a humongous roll like this. This one is enormous. It's about 24 inches long. But you can get smaller ones too. So you can get contact paper at your hardware store, at a craft store. It's meant for covering books or covering shelves. And what I discovered is that there's the shiny kind, but it's also matte. So if you really don't like those shiny images, you can get matte contact paper. I just pull this away. You can see that that's sort of opaque almost, but you can still see underneath it. You can still see through it. So it's going to give you a different look. But if you prefer a matte look, this type of contact paper or shelf liner might be really good for you. So, and the nice thing about these is they always have this grid on the back. If you don't have access to any of these, you can use packing tape. So I have this enormous roll here. It's just shipping tape or packing tape. It's clear and you can layer it up. The reason I like the contact paper is I can do very big images, like a whole magazine size image, a whole page, and there's no limit to the size. You are limited a little bit with this packing tape because it's only a couple of inches wide, but you can layer it up. So don't feel like if this is all you have, don't worry about it. But again, this will be shiny. So kind of consider that. I've just got a couple of examples of, here is one I did yesterday. Let me just, with the matte contact paper. So you see there's no shine like I had with the other ones. And then where the vase is and where the table is, you can see the layers appearing underneath. So that is one done with matte. And then here is one of the Joshua trees I did yesterday. That is the shiny contact paper. Again, just a different look. And I can take the edge off this with some fine grit sandpaper, but it doesn't give the same effect as this matte paper. So just to show you a little bit of a difference. Okay, let's find an image. Let's look through this magazine. I literally have not chosen one yet, so I don't know. Which one should we pick? I like that one. Don't know. Let's see. Love this magazine so much. I don't know which one. That one doesn't have a lot of white on it, so I might not go with that. I do really like that one. Oh, I love this one right here. Hopefully that will show through. Hopefully some of this white, some of this will allow the background to show through, but I love that lavender. So here's my image. It's from a magazine. It's glossy, so I'm happy about that. Here's a piece of contact paper from that roll. I'm going to do the shiny kind, but feel free to do the other kind. And then I'm going to, with a pair of scissors, I like to, if you have these Teflon coated scissors, that they're helpful, but they're not necessary. Just like to cut out a piece which is a little bit bigger. I'm just going to get my paper towels ready. Okay, so here's my image on the back. I have no idea what's on the back. None of that, all this is going to be removed. So we're only interested in the front. Here's my contact paper. It's a little bit bigger. I'm going to peel this back and lay it on the top. We want on the top of the image that we want to lift. Peeling this off, laying this down. I'm going to flip it over and just rub out any air bubbles before I trim it up. So there's no air bubbles there, which is good. I'm going to trim off the extra. You could leave this on if you wanted to, but I'm going to trim it off. And I have got a bowl of tap water. It's cold. Doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. Well, I've never done it with hot, actually. It's just room temperature water. Now, here's my image. You can see the glossy contact paper of the top. I'm just rubbing it, burnishing it a little bit more. If you don't have a bone folder, just use, a spoon, your fingers, credit card. And then you're going to slide it in some water. I'd say I do a minimum of 5 minutes. I've left these overnight and they've still been fine. These have been in here about 15 minutes. So slide it in the water. And I'm going to take out some that I've had in there for, like I said, about 15 minutes. You want to lay down lots of paper towels because it's a little bit messy. Now, some people take the paper off the back inside the bowl of water, but I'm going to do it on my table so that you can see properly. Here are the images I have. I have an image of a chair, because I love chairs. I also have some words and a bird. So let me leave the bird and the words in there and we'll work on the chair first. It's going to take up some of the extra water. I'm going to flip it over so my image and the shiny side is face down on my paper towel. I'm just going to dip my finger in the water and start pushing like this to remove the first layer of paper. It just takes a minute to get going. There we go. And you're going to get an initial layer of paper coming off. This is an exercise in patience, I will tell you. Don't expect, results in 30 seconds. Do you see how I'm rolling with my thumb? I've got my forefinger underneath and then my thumb on top, and I'm rolling away the paper. At this stage, you can be fairly rough. As we get down to the other layers of paper, you're going to want to be a lot more delicate with your touch. But right now, this is the first layer of paper. You can already see that the chair is showing through. So that's layer number 1. Now you can dunk it back in the water at this point. Let me just dunk it back in. This is my shiny layer. You can start to see the image on the back, but I don't think that you'd be able to see much through here at this point. So now we need to take off more layers. Now this is where you need to exercise lots and lots of patience. You're going to very gently rub over with the pads of your fingers or your thumb to take away. I like to use my fingers because I feel like it gives a lighter touch, to push away more layers of that paper. Like I say, this is, give it as a practice, like a meditative practice to get the desired effect. So I'm pulling away another layer. And the somewhat frustrating but kind of fun part of this is you think you've taken off all of the paper, and then I keep dipping my fingers in the water, by the way, and then it dries and you've got this like hazy sheen on there, and you can still take off more. But I'll often leave that hazy sheen on because I love the grungy look it gives. So can you see now? Well, you probably can't. It's becoming a lot more transparent. So I'll dry it off in a second. So let me do half so you can see the top half and the bottom half. The top half is looking really good. You can go in with a paper towel, just push off the extra bits, Nice and light though, because if we push too heavily, we're going to rub off the ink, which we don't want to do. If I went in with my fingernail and scraped, some of that ink would come off. Let me get, oh, here's a piece of vintage paper with some strong text. Let me show you what this looks like. So you see the top half where I've got, oh, it's upside down. It's red. This top half where I've got most of the paper off, you can really see through. And then this lower half where I don't have as much of the paper off, you can only see a tiny bit of the text, and you might not even be able to see it. So in these white areas, this is where you're going to get the background show through. This area here, the hat or whatever it is, and cushions, you can still see it poking through as well, but not as boldly as these white areas. Let me just keep going on this lower half, and this, I'll let this piece dry. So remember, I could be doing this on contact paper, either shiny or opaque, and well, not opaque, kind of translucent, and also with packing tape as well. So I'm going to let that dry for now. What it's probably going to look like when it's dried is this. I have another one. Let me just set that aside. I have one that I did yesterday. I knew I'd make that wet. I had one that I did yesterday, and it's dried. And there's still some of this paper on the back. But honestly, I'm not going to keep going, because you can see here that I've started to pull away some of the ink because I was a bit impatient. But it still looks really good over that text. You can see that through there. So, and this was also with the opaque contact paper. Let's see how our little words are doing. So I put the contact paper on the front of on top of the words that I wanted, a bird in hand. There was actually other words on the back, but we're not going to get to see those. We'll just do exactly the same thing. I've got to kind of get it going. Ooh, this one came out really good, because it's a white background. Gosh, that came off almost immediately. And then let me put it on something dark. Kind of see it there. Bird in hand. It's a little bit grungy, but I really like that. And that'll look great layered up in an altered book. And then here is the other one. Well, let's see. I'm not sure this has had enough time in the water, but we could try it. Here's another one I had in there, which was a robin. Oops, you can see it. Let's see if I can, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to answer some questions, and then I will take the paper off the lavender one. Let me just see if I've got any quick tips for you that I forgot to tell you. Yes, sometimes if you want to rub off the paper in your bowl of water, don't let all this paper go down your sink, because it'll clog it up. It'll be disgusting. And what else? Yeah, I think that's it for my tips. Do you want to give me some questions, Amber, so that I can answer them for folks? Oh, are there no questions? Hold on. Let's see if we have any questions. Let's see. Here's a suggestion from Becky. Matte medium also helps to dull the shine. Yep, good question. Does it ruin the magazine? Hold on, let me give you some tips on gluing. Just let these dry for a second. Where is my book? Where did my book go? Don't you love it when you lose things? I've lost my book. I was going to glue in. So one of the, honestly, it's like, no, this is the story of my life. If you, so for example, to glue these, I would either use glue stick or nori paste, or as Becky said you could also use matte medium. So you could put matte medium on the back and the front of this and it would dull it a little bit. So I just, honestly, I'm a big fan of a glue stick, I gotta tell you. So if I was gonna glue this in here, I would put some glue stick on. Sometimes there's enough tackiness on here for it to stick on here, but in this instance there isn't. So just plain old Yoo-hoo glue stick is often enough to hold it down. And then this book page goes on here, like that. I see there are some questions now. And then I would probably use something stronger to glue it into my book. So this is a gessoed book page. I would probably use the nori paste to put it in here. Or some PVA, or some double stick tape, whatever. Frankly, whatever I had lying around. This one is also going to go in this book too. I really like this. Whether I decide to put, I'll probably put some vintage paper underneath, but I really like the way that looks against the old book pages like that. Okay, what questions do we have? How do you attach the finished images to your book page? I think I just showed you that. Yes, I use glue stick, matte medium, nori paste, mostly glue stick though, or I might sew them on, but mostly glue stick. What other questions? I missed the beginning. Are you using clear contact vinyl? Yep, it's rolls of contact paper. One is like a matte, clear matte, and one is shiny. They're called contact paper. Sometimes they're called shelf liner. Could you use, oops. Could you use a flat bottom container for the water? Oh yeah, use whatever you want for the water, just whatever you have to hand for the water. Just make sure there's enough space to put, make sure it's big enough so there's enough water in there to cover the image. I usually have several going at once. I don't just do one image transfer, I'll do a whole batch of them. So I think I had sometimes use like a little plastic bucket. You could use like a Pyrex dish, whatever you would like. Good question though. What other questions are there? I don't see any others. All right, let me show you my mixed media book that some of these images are going to go into. I made this book with Dee Dee Catron, a friend of mine who lives in Las Vegas. I was lucky enough to get to visit with her in person last year. I made this book with her a couple years ago. It's a long stitch book. And that's where I'm going to put my image transfers into during the next few weeks. So it's just really simple long stitch book. And then it's got 4 signatures and each of the signatures is just mixed up vintage papers, all different sizes. So here's a tag. Here's an old piece of blueprint, ledger paper, book paper. This is a piece of cooking parchment paper. And they're all the same height, just different widths. So it's just this kind of grungy, interesting book. I've painted a little bit with coffee as well throughout it. And I'm putting in different image transfers in this book. So I've already put in a couple. Here's my couple of image transfer, an image transferred fabric. There's a few of those in here already. Here is one done with contact paper with words. The story begins. That was from a Somerset Studio magazine. And then here I'm going to put my chair in here somewhere. I don't think, so this is how it looks after it's been drying for a little while. It's still a bit of paper, but I'm going to leave that on there. And I'm going to layer it up with some vintage paper or whatever I can find, whatever I like the look of. So here's my box of goodness. I could add some of this text. It's a bit, feels a bit strong though to go underneath it. Oh, well, it's not bad. I want to make it a bit warmer though, I think. So I might go with, ooh, This is a piece of ledger paper that I was stamping off. I might pop it through there, put that. So I'm going to layer it up with this and then put it on one of these pages. So let's see. Let's rip that off. Let's find a glue stick. I'm probably going to trim it down. Oh, I like that. You can just see some of the stamping underneath. Hopefully you can. And then I'm going to trim it up and find a place to put it. Probably going to trim it like here. Is anyone else obsessed with chairs? I love chairs. Oh, I might put it there against this kind of white. This is some watercolor paper, I think. Put it against, I'm going to put it right here in this book with some glue stick. I might have it kind of poking out the top like this, just off the page, and I'll put it right up against the edge where there's this little fabric tab. Push that in. So there's one that we did today. And then my words, where are they? Where are my words? My little, oh yes, a bird in the hand. We're going to put the bird in a hand somewhere. We're going to put it where one of my fabric transfer birds are. Now, if you're interested in fabric transfer, click on the link below. Oh, I like that. Click on, in the description box, there is a link to my video on image transfer onto fabric. Just a warning, it's a bit long. It was a live video on Facebook. So it's a little bit long. So I'm going to layer this over here onto this fabric. A bird in the hand. Let's take a look at this lavender right here to see if it's had enough time. This is probably going to be too big to go inside. Yes, it's great. Inside my little mixed media book. But I might take sections of it. Just because I transferred the whole image doesn't mean that I have to use all of it. So here is the first layer that you can be fairly rough with. I'll show you what that looks like. And if there's any final questions, I will answer them for you. Oops, there we go. This is quite a large image. So in all honesty, to get this how I would want it, I would expect to spend at least 15 minutes working this very, as we go through subsequent layers, I'd work it very gently to remove the extra paper. So there's layer number one. Let's brush some of this off. It's already starting to look kind of transparent. Let's go in with another layer. Grab some more paper towels. Should see my desk. It's delightful, messy. See if we can get some more off. Here we go. So now I'm using a much lighter touch with just the pads of my fingers to remove the next layer of paper. And then the next layer will be even more gentle. And then if you start to see that you're rubbing ink off, you really want to stop because you've done enough. Here we go. So I'm sure you don't want to watch me do this forever, but it is starting to show through. Let me find a piece of paper here. You can see that I am getting some transparency here. You can see the words underneath. So that's going to be a really nice image transfer when I'm done. I wish I'd done it with the matte paper because I think that would look nice, but it's okay. So I'm going to keep working on that. Let me see if there are any more questions. Let's see, any more questions? Could I do image transfer from images print on photographic paper? I have never done that. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't, particularly if it's glossy. I mean, if it's matte, maybe try it. But I have never done that. So let me remove this. I have never done that, Marsha. So good question. If you try it, let us know. My sense is it probably wouldn't work, but just take one that you're not particularly wedded to and just try it and let us know. Where else? Yes, Paula says Dee Dee was selling some kits to make books like that. Yes, she was. I don't know if she still is, but I've included a link to Dee Dee's Instagram below, and you can then follow her links to her store. She is fabulous. What else? Paula says this is what she's going to be doing this afternoon. Anyone else going to be doing this afternoon? And Charles loves chairs too, right? What is it about chairs? I don't know what it is. I love it. Oh, thank you. Glad you like it. All right. Have I ever used vellum? Yes, not to print the images, although it might, but no, yes, you can definitely put the image, you can, well, actually, no, hold on. No, I've put the images on top of vellum, but I have never used images printed on vellum and then lifted it with the packing tape or the contact paper. The reason being the vellum is already transparent. So if you did have something printed from a laser printer onto vellum, you could use it, but it's already transparent, so I'm not really sure why you would. But that's a good question, Sally. I'm not sure that that would probably be the best. Not sure that would be the best substrate to work with. But once you've done the image transfer onto the contact paper, layering it on top of vellum would be very cool. Other questions? Thank you. Love that book. It needs to be a book club project. Well, if you did the challenge a couple of times ago, it was a long stitch book, which do I have it right here? Nope. But we've also got a couple of long stitch books in the archives if you would like to. But yes, I do really love this. I do really love books which are just mixed up pages. I do a lot of mine like this because really, who wants to start with a white blank page? Dull and intimidating. So, all right. Anything else? Oh, thank you, Linda. That's very kind. Okay, I think that is it. Luce said she did the long stitch book, so maybe she could figure it out. Of course she could figure it out. But yes, we could do this book. It's really quite straightforward and it is really fun. So maybe we'll put this long stitch book on the list. All right, my friends, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. Next Thursday, I will be back here, 12 Eastern time, with another image transfer technique. If you are interested, please join us. If you liked this video, would like to see more videos like this, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to my friends so that you, and you hit the bell notification so you know when we next go live or when a new video comes up. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful week and I will catch you very soon. Take care, everyone.